My boss fired me to save a few bucks. It cost him his entire company. This isn't just a story about a wrongful termination. It's a tale of hidden truths and exposed greed. Meet Alex Thompson, dedicated employee who believed in his company, pouring his heart and soul into the work he loved. But when a penny-pinching boss decided to cut corners at Alex's expense, he didn't realize he was setting off a chain reaction that would ultimately lead to his downfall. It was a crisp autumn morning when Alex first sensed something was off. He had been working at Ceridian Technologies for nearly 5 years, diligently climbing the ranks while cultivating relationships and supporting his teammates. The atmosphere was electric. Deadlines were looming, promotions were in sight, and the future seemed bright. But amid the hustle, whispers of discontent began to surface. Alex had always admired his supervisor, Gregory Reed. He was charismatic, often charming the staff with his motivational speeches during morning briefings. However, as the months passed, Alex began to notice subtle changes in Gregory's demeanor. The man who once encouraged collaboration now cut meetings short, glaring at those who dared to question his decisions. One day, after receiving a stunningly positive performance review, Alex walked into Gregory's office expecting praise. Instead, he was met with tight lips and furrowed brows. "Alex, the company is tightening its belt," Gregory muttered, eyeing his expense reports with disdain. "We'll be making some adjustments to the team." Alarm bells rang in Alex's mind. He felt a chill crawl up his spine as he began to realize that he was at risk. He'd heard rumors about how certain employees were considered expendable in light of recent budget cuts. Still, Alex held faith in his hard work and the impact he had made. Weeks went by and tensions escalated. With each passing day, more and more colleagues were let go, each termination ending with suspicious whispers and a renewal of fear. Then on a dreary Thursday afternoon, Alex's worst fears were confirmed. He was summoned to the HR office, where a grim-faced rep sat waiting. "Alex, we are letting you go," she said, her voice flat. "This is a business decision. Letting me go, but my performance reviews are stellar. I've consistently met all my targets. This isn't fair." He felt panic rise as he fought to grasp what was happening. "This isn't personal. It's about saving costs," she replied. "Your position is being eliminated as part of a company-wide initiative." Feeling betrayed and confused, Alex stood up and walked out, his mind racing. Losing his job meant losing his livelihood. But what he didn't know was that this termination would serve as the catalyst for something much larger. In the weeks that followed, Alex gathered his strength. He decided to document everything he could about the company, from emails to policy manuals, performance reviews, and the disturbing pattern of unjust terminations. As he delved deeper, Alex started connecting dots that painted a striking picture of mismanagement and greed. Every email he combed through revealed Gregory's ruthless strategies as he sought to cut corners while lining his pockets. Improper classification of employees, questionable financial practices, and neglect of safety regulations. It was at that moment that Alex realized he wasn't just a victim. He was a whistleblower. The path to exposing Gregory and the unethical environment at Ceridian led Alex to uncover an elaborate scheme involving inflated expenses and falsified reports. It became clear that Gregory's cuts were not about the company's survival, but rather his own financial gains at the expense of loyal employees. Then came the decision: what should Alex do next? With the evidence piled high, it was time to strategize. He knew he had to report the malfeasance, but he also understood the stakes. He needed to tread carefully to build a case strong enough to withstand any pushback. Alex meticulously prepared a whistleblower report. He outlined all his findings, documented every misstep, and finally sent it to the government labor board and a local news station. Within days, story broke. The tale of greedy management and wrongful termination echoed across social media and the news. Gregory Reed was blindsided when the news cameras showed up outside Ceridian Technologies. Employees watched in shock, realizing the potential reason behind the many layoffs. Alex became a symbol of bravery, the whistleblower who took a stand. And that's when the real unfolding of events began. As investigations into Ceridian intensified, clients grew wary, and the company's reputation plummeted into jeopardy. Businesses that had once partnered with Ceridian withdrew their contracts, unwilling to be associated with a scandal. The fallout was immense. Gregory, who thought he could silence dissent by eliminating employees like Alex, now faced the consequences of his actions. Board meetings turned heated, fingers were pointed, and financial reports revealed losses that spiraled. By continuing to pull the thread, Alex unraveled the toxic web Gregory had spun. Months passed, and the inevitable conclusion approached. One fateful afternoon, just before the company's annual meeting, an emergency session was called. The directors gathered, and desperation hung thick in the air. Gregory stood at the head of the table, sweat beading on his forehead, knowing he had to face the fallout of his greed. As the meeting commenced, director slammed the reports on the table. "Gregory, we can't sustain this. You first lost us clients, and now the regulators are breathing down our necks. It's time for you to go." Watching from the sidelines, Alex felt a wave of satisfaction wash over him. It was more than just his own vindication. It was justice for those who had suffered under Gregory's rule. By the time the dust settled, Gregory was ousted from the company he had driven into chaos. Ceridian Technologies began restructuring, and employees that had been unjustly terminated were called back. Their skills needed to rebuild the company. In a turn of events no one could have predicted, Alex was offered a new position within the company, one that came with a pay raise and a renewed sense of purpose. He accepted not just to rebuild his career, but to help forge a path towards transparency, accountability, and an ethical workplace. Reflecting on the journey, Alex said, "Sometimes losing your job isn't the end. It can be the beginning of something much more significant. Standing up against greed and injustice ultimately not only saved my career, but it helped countless others find their voices too." So, what can we take from Alex's journey? Remember that the truth always has a way of surfacing. And when management prioritizes greed over people, they risk losing everything. If you found this story inspiring, take a moment to subscribe to our channel for more tales of karma and justice. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you experienced workplace injustice? We'd love to hear your stories. After all, in the battle against corruption, every voice counts. As the days unfolded and the dust settled, life at Ceridian Technologies took on a new rhythm. The once stifling atmosphere shifted into one of cautious optimism. Employees who had once been wary of their own job security found themselves reaffirmed, and a sense of camaraderie began to blossom in the wake of corruption's downfall. Alex was now in a position of leadership, entrusted with not only rebuilding the trust of his colleagues, but also ensuring that the past mistakes would never be repeated. He organized team meetings to solicit input from everyone, encouraging open dialogue about ideas for improvement. It was a new era, one that would demand transparency, accountability, and collective responsibility. At their first restructuring meeting, Alex addressed the team with a firm but encouraging tone. "We've been through a lot, and it's essential that we learn from our collective experiences. This is our chance to redefine the culture of Ceridian. Let's empower each other, speak up against wrongdoing, and build a workplace that thrives on integrity." His words resonated, igniting conversations throughout the office. Employees began sharing stories of their own experiences, times they felt unheard, unappreciated, or falsely accused. Among them was Sarah, a project manager who had been let go during the budget cuts despite having one of the highest performing teams in the company. "What happened to you?" "Alex, it gave me hope," she said, her voice steady. "I've been hesitant to come back, but maybe it's time to stand for what's right." Encouraged by Alex's leadership, Sarah became one of the first advocates for creating an employee advisory board designed to promote employee rights and ethics. Their goal was to ensure that management could no longer act unilaterally, that every voice, no matter how quiet, would matter in the decision-making process. Together, they drafted a proposal outlining the structure of the board, which would consist of representatives from various departments to advocate for employees' concerns. Alex made certain to include a whistleblower policy, protecting those who stepped forward to share their honest opinions about workplace practices. The day they presented the proposal to the board of directors was daunting, yet exhilarating. Alex led the charge, standing firm in the face of skepticism. "This isn't just about morale," he explained passionately. It's about protecting the culture of our company. We can't afford to ignore our employees' voices anymore. If we want to move forward, we need to rebuild trust at all levels. The board exchanged glances. After a tense silence, one of the senior directors leaned forward, intrigued. You make compelling arguments, Alex. However, change requires buy-in and commitment from everyone. How do we ensure that this initiative sees genuine implementation? By setting measurable goals. Alex answered confidently. We need to hold each other accountable. We can schedule quarterly reviews to assess how well we're addressing employee concerns and whether we're improving our workplace culture. Over the next few months, the advisory board met frequently. With every step forward, Alex felt as though he was not merely reclaiming his own career, but also building a legacy for future Ceridian employees. Meanwhile, the corporate investigations into Gregory's practices continued. In the fallout, details surfaced that shocked even the most seasoned employees. Ceridian had not only been engaging in unethical financial practices, but had also been violating labor laws, misclassifying workers, and neglecting to provide appropriate safety measures in their production line. The depth of the misconduct left the company vulnerable and fragile. One morning, in an earnest meeting with the advisory board, Sarah raised a concern that had been brewing among the staff. We need to address the lingering fear the employees feel about speaking up. People want to share their ideas, but there's still an undercurrent of apprehension. I agree, Alex replied thoughtfully. Creating a safe environment is paramount. We can establish an anonymous reporting mechanism, perhaps through a dedicated software portal where employees can voice concerns without fear of repercussions. After considerable brainstorming, they turned that idea into reality. The new reporting system was a hit. Employees who had previously hesitated to speak out found courage through anonymity, leading to revelations about discrepancies in overtime pay and workplace safety hazards. But the bloom of this newfound empowerment also attracted the ire of those who once benefited from the old regime. A faction within the organization, loyal to Gregory, began stirring discontent. Their whispers echoed in the hallways, suggesting that the newly empowered advisory board was merely a front for Alex's personal ambitions. One afternoon, as Alex was brainstorming ideas for an upcoming staff retreat, he was met with snickers and snide comments from Greg's retained loyalists, including a prominent employee named Mike, who had been Gregory's right-hand man. Alex, nice job getting yourself a new title. Just remember, some of us know how the game works, he sneered, eyeing Alex with disdain. It's all fun and games until someone notices you messing with the playbook. Anger surged through Alex, but he remained composed. The game has changed, Mike. Your time of intimidation is over. We're working together now, not against each other. Such moments soon became a battleground for righteousness versus corruption. The resistance was real, but for every disparaging remark, numerous employees rallied around Alex and the advisory board. They circulated petitions, created awareness campaigns, and fostered alliances. Support grew day by day, establishing an undeniable presence against the toxicity that lingered. Alex soon realized this struggle was not merely with individuals who upheld toxic mentality. It was a testament to the collective desire for change. While they battled the remnants of Gregory's influence within the company, the real challenge had morphed into a broader movement for truth and fairness. The investigation against Gregory intensified, with whistleblower testimonies flooding in and the media spotlight firmly fixed on Ceridian. He faced mounting pressure. Employees could only watch as the man who once cast shadows over their careers began to crumble under the weight of his actions. A fateful day arrived when the local news network announced a live report to cover the ongoing corporate malfeasance scandal at Ceridian Technologies. Cameras rolled as they captured Alex walking down the lobby, flanked by Sarah and other board members. Their renewed sense of purpose had taken form. They were the embodiment of hope that staff could one day reclaim what they deserved. Facing the camera, Alex spoke with sincerity. This is a turning point for us as a company. When leadership puts profit over people, the organization suffers. We must forge this path together, transforming our workplace into one that values ethical practices and its employees' voices above all else. That night, the evidence of wrongdoing against Gregory was laid bare across the screen. Former employees detailed their mistreated experiences and whistleblower accounts echoed throughout the region, drawing attention to Ceridian's plight. As the news broadcast ended, multi-channel coverage highlighted the call for accountability, shedding light on the corporate greed that had festered unchecked. Back at Ceridian, employees convened around offices and break rooms, sharing their thoughts and fears as weighty truths became public knowledge. Tensions shifted swiftly. Camaraderie strengthened as shared experiences filled the void left by the fear that had once dominated the workplace. Then, without notice, an official announcement was made that sent shockwaves through the company. Effective immediately, Gregory Reed has been terminated from his position at Ceridian Technologies, recited the HR representative, her voice steady. Furthermore, the board is committed to making necessary changes to ensure compliance with labor laws and transparency in all practices. Cheering erupted throughout the office. Employees high-fived, and for the first time in a long while, genuine smiles adorned their faces. Alex felt the air of hope fill the room as he was surrounded by teammates who had fought for this moment together. On the heels of Gregory's exit, the company restructured under new leadership that emphasized ethical practices. Positive momentum surged, allowing Alex and his fellow advisory board members to propose new training programs focused on ethics, compliance, and accountability. Months passed, and Ceridian Technologies began to heal. What was once a place of manipulation had turned into one of mutual respect and empowerment. Alex found himself reflecting on the chaos that had led them to this moment. He often revisited the day he had been wrongfully terminated. In his heart, he knew that loss paved the way for an unimaginable path of advocacy, something he had never anticipated. Stepping into his role as a leader wasn't about seeking revenge. It was about embracing the profound significance of positive change. One afternoon, as he walked through the halls that once felt confining, Alex marveled at the transformation bold artwork now adorned the walls, showcasing employee achievements, journeys, and stories. The break room had morphed into a vibrant culture hub, where creativity thrived and collaboration became a cherished practice. As the sun set that day, Alex turned to Sarah, who was now managing the employee engagement programs. "I can't believe how far we've come," he mused, gazing at the artwork that exuded a sense of belonging and pride. "I know, right?" she replied, grinning. "And to think, it all started because we decided to reclaim our narrative, rather than quietly accept defeat." In the wake of their success, Alex and Sarah collaborated to create a new orientation program for incoming employees. They wanted to instill the values they'd fought for, emphasizing a culture of openness, respect, and, of course, whistleblower protections. Everyone deserves to feel valued, no matter their position, Alex remarked as they crafted the program, ensuring it was built on the very principles they'd fought for. "We need to show our new colleagues they've joined a team where they can voice their thoughts without fear." The final touch came when they developed a mentorship program, pairing seasoned employees with newer staff. It was a way to foster connection, promote guidance, and serve as a beacon for those who might hesitate to speak out. The new era at Ceridian was not without challenges. Occasional resistance to change lingered among remnants of the corporate culture that had plagued them. However, Alex approached every obstacle with the belief that lessons from the past could be transformed into building blocks for the future. In quiet moments, as he sat at his desk strategizing, Alex realized that the journey didn't end with Ceridian Technologies. It served as a template for others. He began speaking at industry conferences, sharing the story of their triumph over greed and unethical leadership. "I hope to inspire others who have faced similar challenges," he often said to captivated audiences. "To those who feel lost in the face of adversity, remember, you too can reclaim your narrative." As the cycle continued, employee-driven initiatives took root across various industries, promoting changes in corporate cultures globally. Every successful story of employee advocacy resonated through conferences and seminars, creating powerful ripple effect. New voices emerged, fueled by hope, illuminating the possibilities of change. Months later, with the culture firmly established, Alex and his team decided to honor their journey by hosting a celebratory event. They aimed to acknowledge the resilience of the employees, reflecting on their past while embracing collective future. With food trucks dotting the parking lot and games fostering camaraderie, The day was filled with laughter, joy, and the promise of revival. Alex stepped up to the stage, emotion welling in his chest. Together, we transformed this company into a place where every voice counts, where integrity reigns. Let today be a celebration of what we've achieved and a commitment to the journey ahead. Cheers erupted, and smiles beamed as employees reflected on how far they had come. Surrounded by his colleagues, Alex felt a surge of fulfillment. He may have lost a job, but he had ignited a movement. At that moment, with laughter and connection enveloping him, he didn't just see a work culture. He saw a family. The reality set in that the struggles faced had carved a new chapter, not only for Alex and his colleagues, but for individuals inspired by the hard-fought journey. Together, they had forged a path toward a future where courage would always be met with integrity, where every voice bore the strength to stand against wrongdoing. And as the sun began to set on yet another day at Ceridian Technologies, collective sigh of relief enveloped the organization. They had turned a page. They were not merely survivors, but champions of change. If you've enjoyed this journey of resilience, empowerment, and transformation, remember to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories. Share your own experiences in the comments below. Have you ever faced a situation where courage led to change in your workplace? Your story could empower someone else, so let's keep the dialogue going. Together, we can create workplaces that honor integrity and celebrate the power of the human spirit. As the lights twinkled against the dusky sky during the celebration, Alex looked around at his colleagues, many of whom had become close friends over the years. They shared smiles and stories, laughing and reflecting on the struggles that had shaped them. The journey had been arduous, filled with sleepless nights and moments of doubt, but now the air buzzed with a sense of camaraderie that was palpable. Alex, Sarah called, bringing him back to the present. "I've been meaning to talk to you about something." Her eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "With everything we've achieved, I think we should create an annual culture day, a day dedicated to celebrating our values, where everyone gets to share their stories." Alex's excitement matched hers. "Absolutely. It could reinforce what we've built here, showing new employees the importance of having a voice. We could even incorporate workshops on conflict resolution and team-building exercises." As they brainstormed ideas, employees began gathering around, contributing their thoughts. Teams broke into smaller circles, creating plans for the event that would not only celebrate their achievements, but also highlight values that pushed against injustice, integrity, and collaboration. Soon, the proposals they had in mind began to take shape, from panels featuring employee testimonies outlining the path to progress to fun activities that encouraged teamwork. It was uplifting to see how a single act of courage had sparked a wildfire of change throughout Ceridian. However, beyond the celebration, there lurked an unspoken fear. Despite the victory, whispers of discontent still trailed through the halls. Some lingering employees, who were close to Gregory and his tactics, had begun stirring trouble again, resistant to the winds of change that Alex and his team had cultivated. Alex picked up on these murmurs during meetings and casual interactions. Pockets of resentment remained, threatening to hamper progress. In the days following the culture day, he received anonymous messages. "You're not the hero you think you are. Change just opens the door for new problems. What makes you so special?" Though the words stung, Alex understood that resistance was a natural reaction to significant change. He recalled the battle he just fought. It had taken time, and this too would require patience. Determined not to let fear dictate their future, Alex convened a meeting with the advisory board. "I've noticed some mixed feelings among employees about our recent initiatives," he began. "I believe we should address this head-on. We need to create spaces for employees to voice their frustrations, and we're going to do it together." Sarah nodded in agreement. "We should facilitate open forums or town hall discussions, encouraging people to share their thoughts, doubts, and suggestions. We may not be able to change everyone's opinion overnight, but creating those platforms can demonstrate our commitment to transparency." The team quickly organized a series of open forums. They invited employees from all levels of the organization, from interns to managers, fostering an environment where everyone could speak freely and share their thoughts without fear of retaliation. It was time for everyone to voice their concerns and become actively involved in the transformation. On the day of the first forum, Alex stood at the front, comforting presence amidst uncertainty. "Thank you all for being here today. I know change can be overwhelming. We want to create an atmosphere where you feel safe and secure to express your feelings and ideas. Let's start this journey together. As employees shared their experiences, it became evident that many felt unheard during the previous regime. Grievances about communication breakdowns, lack of direction, and frustration regarding layoffs surfaced. The conversations were raw and honest, highlighting the scars left by the past. But rather than defensiveness, Alex felt a wave of urgency to dig deeper, to capture the spirit of the people. One employee, Jason, spoke up. "It's not about making you feel good, Alex. It's about trust. You say you want to listen, but we need more than just words. We need action." That session became a watershed moment. Alex realized that words alone wouldn't sufficiently build the necessary trust. Tangible actions would. He and the advisory board quickly formulated a plan. Every concern raised in the forum would lead to action items, and they promised to report back within weeks regarding progress on each issue. As the weeks passed, they implemented changes, improved processes, and celebrated small milestones. Gradually, employees noticed that their voices mattered. The once resonant fears started to wane, replaced by a rekindled faith in their leadership and commitment to change. Yet, as they moved forward, something unusual happened. A tension brewed within the board itself, as some members began to argue against Alex's inclusive approach. "We have to prioritize profits. Not every employee deserves a platform," one board member argued, fixated on the old hierarchy. The pushback shocked Alex. With so much hope on the rise, he couldn't afford to let the remnants of the old guard derail the culture. He called for a vote to institute a policy enforcing open communication across departments while integrating employee feedback. But resistance loomed large. In the ensuing meeting, Alex advocated passionately for the plan. "We can't return to a culture of silenced voices. Every employee has the right to speak up without fear of losing their job. It's that simple. If we want to build a true culture of accountability, all of us must make the commitment to uphold it, from the top down." Despite the pushback, Alex's resolve spurred others to join the cause. "The people have shown us what can happen when we listen. This isn't just about profit. It's about building a legacy," Sarah chimed in, rallying support. Gradually, others began to echo these sentiments. And with each vote for transparency and open communication, a new coalition blossomed within the board. They had only recently risen above the ashes of distrust, and they collectively affirmed the vision Alex had cast forth, committing to holding themselves accountable for the workplace they wanted to build. Deep down, Alex felt invigorated. Together, they had created a framework that would forever alter the landscape of Ceridian Technologies. The vision of unity and collaboration seemed not only plausible but necessary. He knew it would take time, deliberate work, and unyielding commitment, yet they were on the path toward achieving a true community environment. As the months went by, the company increasingly thrived. Engagement scores soared, and employees began to take pride in their work once more. The culture had transformed into one based on respect and integrity, where open dialogue and change flourished. But as Alex looked toward the horizon, he couldn't help reflecting on the saying that had inspired so many throughout their journey. Change takes time, but every ripple can lead to a wave. And with every step they took, every challenge they faced, they created a wave that others would ride. The transformation at Ceridian Technologies took on a life of its own, inspiring neighboring companies to reevaluate their cultures and practices. The echoes of Alex's fight for justice and a safer workplace resonated in boardrooms far beyond his own, highlighting how the bravery of one individual could spark a movement fueling change in entire industries. As Alex continued advocating for workplace rights, he knew his journey still wasn't over. There were challenges ahead, inevitably. Yet the spirit of resilience remained alive within him and among the team. Every voice mattered, and every action taken mattered even more. And as the sun set on another successful day at Ceridian, he felt a surge of gratitude for those who had rallied around him, the employees who dared to dream of a better workplace, those who faced down the challenges, and the courage that turned ambition into reality. Together, they were warriors of change in a world that was quietly begging for it. If you found value in Alex's story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more tales of courage and transformation. We want to hear your voice too. Share your stories in the comments below, because together, we can illuminate paths toward justice and change, echoing the belief that every person has the power to change their circumstances, no matter the odds. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, remember, the battle for dignity in the workplace is never fought alone. It's a collective effort, one that thrives when every voice rises in unison.